Did you know that your tiny terrier actually burns calories faster than a Great Dane?
It's pretty astonishing, isn't it?
It really is. Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're zooming right in on the nutritional world of small dogs. You know, those amazing companions under about 20 pounds.
It truly is remarkable. And, well, while they might be small, their dietary needs are significant and quite specific, actually.
Right.
So our goal in this deep dive is basically to cut through all the noise, all the confusion around small breed dog food.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
There is. We want to give you the essential info you need to fuel your little friend for a really long, healthy, and, vibrant life.
Exactly. And we've really dug into a pretty comprehensive guide for this one, looking at everything from fresh, human-grade meals all the way to traditional kibbles and wet foods.
A real spectrum of options.
Totally. And if you've ever stood in that pet food aisle feeling, well, overwhelmed.
Which is easy to do.
Oh, absolutely. Wondering if you're truly getting it right for your little pal's specific needs, then, yeah, this deep dive is definitely for you.
So let's get into it.
Let's dive in. What actually makes the nutritional needs of these small dogs so different?
Well, okay, at the heart of it, it comes down to some basic differences in their physiology.
Okay.
Like you said right at the start, their metabolism, it just runs so much faster compared to bigger dogs.
Right.
Think of it maybe like a hummingbird versus an eagle. The hummingbird needs way more energy relative to its size. Small dogs are kind of similar in that rapid energy burn.
That's a great analogy, actually. It really paints the picture.
Yeah, so it means they need calorie-dense food that packs more energy into smaller portions to keep those levels up all day, and often more frequent, smaller meals.
Got it. So high metabolism needs energy-packed food. What else is key?
Another really crucial thing is just their physical size, especially their mouths and teeth.
Bite size.
Exactly. Bite size isn't just, a minor detail. It's pretty essential for them to actually eat safely and effectively.
Makes sense.
Whether it's kibble or fresh food pieces or even treats, the size has to be right for them to chew easily and digest it properly.
Yeah, I can just picture a little Yorkie trying to wrestle with a giant piece of kibble. It wouldn't work well.
It really wouldn't. It's a real challenge if the food isn't sized correctly.
Okay, so rapid metabolism, the right bite size. What's the third big piece here?
It's their potential for longer lifespans.
Right. They do tend to live quite a long time, don't they?
They often do, yeah. Longer than many larger breeds. So because you're hopefully going to have your little friend around for, maybe 15 years or even more,
Yeah.
proactive nutrition becomes super important. Thinking about antioxidants for cellular health, stuff like that. It's a long-term investment.
Right. So their diet needs to support them, not just now, but way down the line, maybe helping with things like joint issues or oxidative stress as they get older.
Exactly that. It really emphasizes why getting their food right from the get-go is so vital.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So knowing all this, what are the absolute key things listeners should be looking for on the label or thinking about when choosing food?
Well, number one has to be calorie density. Like we said, they burn energy fast.
Right.
So the food needs to provide enough calories in those smaller servings to keep them fueled up properly without, having to feed them huge amounts.
Maximize the nutrition in every bite. Got it. What's next?
Protein quality. This is really paramount. You want high-quality protein sources.
Why is that so critical?
It's vital for maintaining their lean muscle mass, their overall vitality. Look for foods where specific meat sources like chicken, lamb, fish are listed right up front as the main ingredients. Good muscle supports their active lives.
Makes perfect sense. Keep them strong and energetic. And we mentioned it, but let's hit it again. Bite size.
Absolutely. It needs to be a primary thought, really, across all food types, kibble, fresh, wet, just to make sure they can eat comfortably and safely.
Okay, so calorie density, quality protein, bite size. Are there other beneficial things to look out for, like added nutrients?
Yes, definitely. There are some great additions. Omega fatty acids, for instance. They're fantastic for healthy skin and a nice shiny coat.
Always a plus.
And things like glucosamine, that can offer really valuable support for joint health, especially over their long lifespan. And antioxidants, too, play a key role in supporting their immune system.
Like giving them that extra boost.
Yeah, their little systems are working hard, so that extra support can be really beneficial.
Okay, those sound like excellent things to look for. Now, on the other side of the coin, what should we maybe try to avoid? Any specific ingredients?
Yeah, it's generally a good idea to steer clear of foods that rely heavily on artificial flavors, artificial colors, and also non-nutritious fillers,
Like what specifically?
like excessive amounts of corn or wheat or soy used primarily as fillers rather than for specific nutritional benefit. They often don't add much value and sometimes can even trigger sensitivities in some dogs.
Good to know. Avoid the artificial stuff and unnecessary fillers. Okay, that's a really helpful framework. Now, our guide mentioned some specific food types and brands. Let's talk about fresh food first. What's the deal with options like the farmer's dog or Nom Nom?
Right, so these fresh food companies like the Farmer's Dog and Nom Nom, they've gotten really popular, and for good reason. They offer some clear benefits.
That's just
Well, they provide human-grade meals, often made with USDA-approved meats and fresh veggies, and they deliver it right to your door.
wow, like a meal subscription service for your dog.
Pretty much. And the guide pointed out that the meals are typically pre-portioned based on your dog's needs.
Oh, that's handy. Customized too, right?
Exactly. Tailored to their specific weight, age, activity level, even allergies or sensitivities you mentioned.
That sounds incredibly convenient, especially for busy people.
It really is.
Yeah.
And another interesting point is their cooking method. They often use gentle cooking, like steaming.
Why is that better?
Well, it helps preserve more of the natural nutrients in the ingredients compared to high heat processing. And it can also make the food easier to digest, which is great for small dogs, as some can have, slightly delicate stomachs.
That gentle cooking aspect sounds like a big plus, especially for sensitive types. The guide mentioned Nom Nom is particularly good for customizable plans, if you have a dog with allergies or who's super picky.
That's right. They seem to offer a high degree of customization for those trickier cases. And for the farmer's dog, the guide really emphasized that convenience factor and how the meals are designed to meet those specific nutritional profiles. Minimal processing, high digestibility were key points.
Gotcha. Is there anything practical to know about using fresh food, like storage?
Yes, absolutely. That's important. It usually arrives frozen, so you'll need to store it in your freezer, then thaw portions in the fridge, typically overnight before serving. And once it's thawed, you generally need to use it within maybe 3 or 4 days.
Okay, good tip. Freeze, thaw, use quickly. Right, let's switch to kibble. The guide brought up Wellness Core Raw Rev Small Breed. What's notable about that one?
Okay, Wellness Core Raw Rev Small Breed. This one is positioned as a high-protein kibble. It's specifically for small breeds, grain-free, and has a pretty high protein content, around 36%, I think.
Wow, that's quite high.
It is. And what makes it kind of unique is the raw rev part. They mix in pieces of freeze-dried raw meat along with the kibble.
Oh, interesting, like a little bonus.
Exactly. Plus, it includes salmon oil, which is a great source of those omega-3s we talked about for skin and coat. The guide suggested it's a solid choice for really active small dogs who need that extra energy.
A real protein boost for the little dynamos. Okay, what if a dog has a more sensitive stomach? The guide mentioned Taste of the Wild Appalachian Valley.
Yes, Taste of the Wild Appalachian Valley is another kibble option, but formulated more with sensitivity in mind.
How so?
It uses different protein sources, primarily venison and lamb meal, which can sometimes be better tolerated by dogs sensitive to more common proteins like chicken or beef. It's also grain-free and includes probiotics.
Probiotics for digestion.
Exactly, to help support a healthy gut. The guide highlighted its overall nutrient density too, which, again, is good for small breeds getting what they need in smaller portions.
Good option for sensitive tummies then. Now, sometimes small dogs can be, well, picky eaters, or maybe they just need more hydration. What about wet food, like Blue Buffalo Delight's small breed?
Wet food can definitely be a winner for picky eaters. It's often much more palatable, smells stronger, and you're right, it's an excellent way to increase their water intake.
Which is important.
Very. Blue Buffalo Delight's small breed, typically you'll see real meat listed as the very first ingredient. It's a hydrating formula, and it's usually fortified with extra vitamins and minerals to make sure it's a complete and balanced meal, not just a treat.
Okay, great for picky pucks and hydration. And one more category the guide mentioned, weight management. Purina Pro Plan Weight Management Small Breed Formula. That seems pretty relevant.
It really is. Unfortunately, obesity can be a common issue in small dogs. So maintaining a healthy weight is crucial.
And this food helps with that.
Yes. The Purina Pro Plan weight management formula is specifically designed as a lower calorie option to help dogs lose weight or maintain an ideal weight. Importantly, though, it's still formulated to provide complete and balanced nutrition, so they're not missing out on essentials. It even includes live probiotics.
So lower calories, but still fully nutritious?
Yeah.
That's good. It's great there are options tailored to specific needs like that. Now, the guide also touched on some wider trends, didn't it, in holistic nutrition?
It did, yeah. We're definitely seeing a shift, mirroring trends in human wellness, actually.
Like what?
Like a growing demand for organic ingredients or human-grade ingredients, similar to what we see with the fresh food brands.
Right.
There's also more focus now on things like environmentally friendly packaging, which is interesting, and the targeted use of supplements directly in the food, like probiotics for gut health or omega fatty acids, which we know have broad benefits.
So the more, well, comprehensive view of pet health, beyond just basic AASCO requirements.
Exactly. It's looking at the whole picture: diet, well-being, even sustainability. People are seeing food as more than just fuel, but as a key part of overall health.
That makes sense. People really care about their pets. Okay, so for our listeners taking all this in, let's get really practical. What are some top feeding tips specifically for small dogs that they can use right away?
Okay, practical tips. The guide emphasized a few key things. First, dividing their daily food portion into 2 or maybe even 3 smaller meals.
Instead of just one big one.
Right. This helps keep their blood sugar levels more stable throughout the day. Because their metabolism is so fast, it can help prevent dips, hypoglycemia, which can be more of a concern for tiny breeds.
Okay, little and often. Good tip. What else?
Portion control. We touched on it with the weight management food, but it's critical for all small dogs. They can gain weight really easily, even with just a few extra calories each day.
Doesn't take much, does it?
Not at all. So really follow the feeding guidelines on the bag or can, but also adjust based on your dog's actual body condition and activity level. Don't just guess, use a proper measuring cup.
Okay, measure carefully.
Yeah.
Definitely harder when they give you those eyes, but important. And what about picky eaters? Any tricks?
Yeah, if you've got a fussy one, the guide suggested trying different textures. Some dogs just really prefer wet food. Others like the crunch of kibble. Maybe try mixing a little wet food in with their dry.
Like a topper?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or even adding a tiny bit of something highly palatable, like a spoonful of plain pumpkin puree or a little bit of plain cooked chicken, just to entice them.
Mm-hmm.
But keep it minimal so you don't unbalance the main diet.
Great ideas. Okay, those are super helpful, practical tips. Now, our guide also tried to answer some common questions small dog owners have. Let's run through a few FAQs. First one. Can you just feed a small dog regular adult dog food, not one specifically for small breeds?
Generally, it's not the best approach. As we've covered, small breeds really do have different caloric and nutrient needs at higher metabolism, the need for smaller kibble, sometimes different nutrient balances for longevity. Breed-specific formulas are really designed to meet those needs better.
Okay, so aim for small breed specific if possible. What about switching foods? If you decide to try a new one, how should you do it?
Slowly. The guide stressed a gradual transition, usually over, say, 7 to 10 days.
How does that work?
You start by mixing just a small amount of the new food, maybe 25% with their old food, 75%. Then every day or two, you gradually increase the new food and decrease the old food until you're fully switched over.
And that helps prevent.
Digestive upset, stomach issues, diarrhea. A slow switch gives their system time to adjust.
Makes sense. Slow and steady. Okay, big question. Is grain-free necessary for small dogs?
The grain-free debate. The answer is not necessarily.
Hmm.
While grain-free diets are absolutely needed for dogs with diagnosed grain allergies or specific sensitivities, most small dogs do just fine with grains. Grains can actually be a healthy source of carbohydrates and fiber. It really depends on the individual dog. Don't assume grain-free is automatically better unless there's a reason.
Good clarification.
Yeah.
It's not a universal rule. Okay, how can someone tell if their small dog might be overweight? It can be hard to judge sometimes.
Yeah, especially with fluffy ones. A good hands-on check is key. You should be able to feel their ribs easily with just gentle pressure without having to push through a thick layer of fat. They should also have a visible waistline when you look down from above.
And if you're not sure.
Definitely check with your vet. They can give you an objective assessment and help create a weight loss plan if needed.
Always best to consult the pros. Okay, we talked about fresh food, but just to recap, what are the main benefits people see in options like the Harmer's dog or Nom Nom?
The big ones highlighted were minimal processing, which can mean better nutrient retention and digestibility, and the customization, getting meals tailored precisely to your dog's individual needs based on age, weight, activity, allergies, etc.
Got it. And is it okay to mix wet and dry food together?
Yep, absolutely fine. Lots of people do it. It can add taste variety, texture appeal for picky eaters, and as we mentioned, boost hydration from the wet food.
Okay. And just to confirm the feeding frequency again for adult small dogs.
Generally, 2 or 3 times a day is recommended to match that faster metabolism and keep energy levels consistent.
What if a small dog has dental problems? Does that change the food choice?
It definitely can, yes. If chewing is painful or difficult, softer foods are usually better. So, wet food or the gently cooked fresh food options would likely be easier for them to manage than hard kibble.
Makes sense. And are there any specific nutrients we should really try to prioritize or look for on the label?
Yes, beyond the basics, those ones we mentioned earlier are worth looking out for. Omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids for skin and coat, glucosamine and chondroitin, especially for dogs prone to joint issues or as they age, and antioxidants to support overall immune health and cellular function.
Great list to keep in mind. And lastly, that storage point for fresh food. Again, how should it be handled?
Right. Store it frozen. Thaw portions in the refrigerator, usually for about 12 hours or so before serving. And once thawed, use it up within about 3 or 4 days for safety and freshness.
Perfect. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the single most important thing you want listeners to take away about feeding their small dogs?
I think the key message is simply that small dogs are different. Their nutritional needs aren't just scaled-down versions of large dogs. Recognizing that difference, their faster metabolism, the need for appropriate bite size, supporting their longer lifespans is crucial. Choosing a food that's specifically formulated with those things in mind is probably the most important step you can take for their health, their energy, and ultimately their happiness.
Absolutely well said. So, whether you lean towards the custom convenience of fresh food, or maybe a high-protein specialized kibble, or the hydration boost from wet food, prioritizing those unique small dog needs is really key.
It really is.
And hopefully, by thinking about calorie density, protein quality, bite size, and those helpful added nutrients we discussed, everyone listening now feels a bit more equipped and confident to make great choices for their little buddy's food bowl.
Exactly. And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Take a second to think about your own dog. Their specific energy level, any health quirks they might have, their preferences, and consider your own lifestyle too.
Yeah, that's important.
What type of food and feeding schedule genuinely works best for both of you? Maybe there's one small, thoughtful change you could make, even starting this week, just to better nourish your small companion based on what we've talked about today.